Arun, can you brief about yourself?
Hello.
Yeah, Ankit, go ahead.
Yeah, you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can able to hear you. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, I have almost 3 year experience in SQL domain, sir. And first, my 1.6 year as a SQL developer, sir. And after 1.6 year as a senior technical support engineer, which I have handling the issue related to SQL Server there. Not support, yeah, it's like 30-40% development and 60 plus 60-65 is support, sir. But sir, my your basic core is only SQL Server, sir, right now.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, sir.
Arun?
Hey, hi all. So I have near about 11 years experience. So before 5 years ago, I was working on a different technology like the VBA, VB6, VB.NET, ASP.NET. But from 2016 onward, I'm working on the Power Platform basically. Power BI Report Builder, Power BI Desktop, Power Apps, Power Automate, and along with that, I have very good hands on the SQL also. And uh, little bit I work on the Azure Data Bricks and Azure Analysis Services. Yeah. And I'm working as a technical architect.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Avinash?
Yeah, hi all. I'm audible.
Yeah, we can able to hear you.
Yeah, like I'm having total of 3.8 years of experience, and previously I was working on the Hadoop PySpark. Now currently I'm started working on the Azure cloud.
Okay, got it. And Gaurav? And Jayant?
Yeah, hello. Hi, Ganesh. Yeah, I am currently working as a system engineer in TCS and I had overall of 1.5 years of experience in TCS, and I'm working in a support process in TCS, which involves in Snowflake and Teradata. It's like an ETL support project. That's it. And that's it from my end.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mohan? Mohan, can you? Yes.
Yes. Hi, hello. My name is Mohan. Actually, I have around 4.5 years of experience in web development. Lately, I'm actually wanted to shift to data engineering.
Okay, got it. Nejlin?
Yeah, hi all. This is Nejling. I have total 3 years experience. So basically, I'm SQL and ETL developer. Presently, I'm working in the TCS as a ETL developer. So my roles and responsibility is like creating the mapping, running the workflow sessions, and moving the data from source to staging. So presently, I'm working in the TCS. So actually, I'm planning to move the Azure Data Engineer.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Nikhil?
Hi, my name is Nikhil. I have 2 years of experience and currently I'm working in the project with the Click as a admin, and I have understanding of SQL and Python. So that is what.
Okay, got it. And Naukesh? Naukesh, are you there? Sivateja?
Hi. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Hi, good evening. Yes, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm having total 7.4 years of experience. Like, is my voice audible?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. Presently working with Infosys, and I'm presently working for Microsoft client only. For internal project as for data engineering and Azure DevOps concepts. but the major concept of I'm opting for this training is like I'm coming from a background of totally infrastructure, operations and infrastructure only, and deployments. So I just wanted to learn more into the concepts of Python and PySpark and all the pipeline configurations, more into data engineering concepts.
Got it. Prerna?
Yeah, I'm working as a technical lead in a SAP stream. I carry around 18 years of IT experience with the SQL and reporting background. So basic ETL knowledge I have. SS
Pratham?
SIS and Informatica. So want to learn the cloud technology.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you for it. And Pratham?
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Actually, I have currently joined just now only.
Can you brief about yourself, like what exactly you do?
Yeah, okay. I am a pass out, BSc pass out at 2023. Then I have 2 months of experience. Means started just now only. So I have a lot of time to explore new opportunities. So I am trying to come out with this.
Yashwant?
Hello?
Yeah. Thank you. And Yashwant?
Yeah, I working as a analyst. Basically, I'm junior analyst in a startup.
Okay. So if anyone misses, like Nokesh or Gaurav, yeah, Yogesh, you can go ahead.
Yeah, welcome everyone. It's nice to understand your experience and expertise into the different skill set. Let me just share my screen and I'll also introduce from my end.
Yashwant?
Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, it's good to know everyone's experience and it's better for me to understand like where you are coming from and what kind of knowledge or you are having. And another thing is, yeah, surely this course will help you to upgrade into your existing role within the same organization, or it is also helpful you to if you are looking outside for different organization with a good skill set and a good opportunity. So in both ways, this course will surely help you. I'll start with my introduction. I have like 16 plus years of strong experience into the IT industry, 8 years of experience into the big data technologies, and around 6 years into the Azure cloud technology experience, mainly on the data platform. I have strong experience into multiple domain industries like banking, finance, the automotive industry, healthcare, pharma domain, telecom domain, e-learning domain. So I have worked on various industries. So I have knowledge on how the system works in different industries, what kind of data will be processed within these types of industries, and what kind of use cases can be available or can be worked on in these types of different industries. Coming to the roles that I played is mainly the Azure Cloud Big Data Technology Architect. So I have experience into the data science as well. So mainly I worked on architecting the end-to-end solution onto the Azure cloud platform using like starting from the data ingestion from multiple sources to reporting. So all the end-to-end data lifecycle management within the Azure cloud using the data platform of Azure. I have worked on that. Apart from that, I have worked as product manager, scrum master, and also I have worked on risk manager, mitigating the risk related to the various project. That's what my role spans across like management technology roles as well as cloud role, the big data technology role, the data science role, data analytics role. Coming to the specific to the Microsoft Azure services, I have worked on the Microsoft Purview. I have delivered trainings on Purview as well. Then I have worked on Azure Data Factory extensively, Azure Databricks, Azure Synapse Analytics, Azure Data Explorer. And coming to the CI/CD, that is continuous integration and deployment part, which is Azure DevOps system. So when you create the resources within the cloud, how you will use the automation to deploy these resources into the higher environments, that is UAT or production environment. So for that, this Azure DevOps system will be used. Along with that, the Azure PowerShell, the ARM templates, and the recent development from Microsoft is the Bicep. I have also worked on Terraform. So that is for the infrastructure deployment that will come into play for these kind of services. And then other services that are used within the Azure cloud are mainly the Azure ML Studio, Azure SQL database, the ADL agent to storage account, the Azure Key Vault for the security and encryption, the VMs, and I have understanding on the networking concepts, how the networking works within the cloud and on-prem to cloud. So that's about my introduction. I'll move to the introduction about the Azure Data Engineering. So what we will learn, or what will be the part of this course, and what as a data engineer you need to play a role within the organization, is related to the understanding these Azure cloud services, what type of different services are available within the Azure cloud, understanding the types of data. I'll come to that in next slides. Then what are the data storage options available within the Azure cloud, how you need to store different types of data, in which data storage, that we will learn through this course. Then once we ingest the data, like from different sources to the cloud, how we are going to process this data or do the transformations or ETL operations on the data. So that's the next step or responsibility of the data engineer. Along with all this, there is another requirement or responsibilities related to the data security and the governance part. So how the end-to-end data lifecycle will be managed, who should access which kind of data. So those kind of things also are part of the data engineering. And once all the data is processed, the transformations are done, how you are doing the reporting using the Power BI or ADX reporting tool is also there. ADX dashboards are there. Or you can use the Tableau also, like how you can send the data to Tableau to see the visualizations or report for. So that data will be used by the business for the analysis and to make the decisions within the organization. So as I mentioned, part of the course summary will be understanding the basics of cloud, why cloud is important, the types of the data, the data engineering role. We have seen these various requirements or the responsibilities. Within the Microsoft Azure Cloud Platform, mainly we will look at the data platform services, that is Azure Data Lake Gen 2 or Azure Storage Account Service for data storage, then Azure Data Factory for ETL, then Azure Databricks for processing the data through the notebooks, and then Azure Synapse Analytics, which is kind of data warehouse, as well as have the capabilities of ADF, as well as similar to the Databricks, like creating notebooks and doing the data processing within the Synapse Analytics, also the visualization of the data. So indirectly, they have clubbed like multiple other Azure services within the Synapse Analytics. And then the Azure SQL database, the normal relational database that we have similar to on-prem, that is SQL Server. And then the Cosmos DB to store the structured and unstructured data. So we'll come to the cloud concept, why there is a need of cloud, and what is the difference between when you move from the on-premises to the cloud. If you consider in an organization, you will have the different types of servers on-prem. You will have the various types of machines, as well as that is the hardware that is used in the organization or on specific project. You will also have the OS related like requirements, for example, the Linux, Unix, and the Windows, and different types of servers and On top of that, again, you will have the requirements of the installations of the web servers or the SQL database servers. So, or Oracle server, mainframe server. So all this is managed on-prem, so which will also require the infrastructure or the physical location to store that everything, that hardware, all that, and also to maintain the electricity, the storage locations, the security of the data as well, or the physical hardware within that premises. So that's very challenging. And if you have to increase the capacity of the different servers, also you need to change any type of migrate from SQL server to Oracle server, you need to purchase the specific licenses of that specific platform. If you need any kind of fine tuning, or if you need some kind of specific machines, again, you need to purchase that hardware, the VMs on the actual machines, install the OS. Let's say I need a project where I need to have the Linux machines, 5 Linux machines for 1 month only. So I have to purchase that, maintain that, install that, which will take a lot of time as well as cost. After my project is done, let's say after 1 month, I don't need those 5 Linux machine. It is waste to the organization. You cannot reuse until you have the next project where you have the similar requirements. So because of all these challenges, the costing part, the scalability part, so whenever you have to increase the memory or the hardware capabilities or the compute capabilities, you need to keep purchasing those specific hardwares. You need to purchase the specific licenses for the platform that you require. So and you can't again reuse or remove them from your on-prem infrastructure. And that is the reason the cloud comes into picture, where you purchase all these things on use basis, pay as you go model, which means, for example, the electricity within your house is pay as you go subscription. The number of equipments that you run, for example, the fridge, washing machines, dishwashers, the TV sets, the fans. So whatever number of services you will use, based on that, it will charge you that amount based on the uses again. So similarly, the cloud model will also work. It will charge you for the specific duration that you are using it. It will have different set of the cost management rules, and it will allow you to create these services within few minutes. That's the best part of it. Another good point about the cloud is that you can access it from anywhere using the internet. You just need the internet to create, modify, access, delete these kind of infrastructure remotely from any location. You do not need to be present within that specific location. So if you have the same things in the on-prem, you need to be present at that specific server location to check that server configurations, modify anything, or use those servers on-prem. So the internet is the main requirement here, and you can just create any kind of services and use it on the fly and delete it. So coming to the part that infrastructure as a service, so which is called as IaaS, which is the physical servers and data centers, the actual infrastructure that you maintain. So cloud will provide this as a service to you, and you just need to purchase, and then on top of that, you can install your own software. So that is one option, or the platform that you want to install on top of it. The next service is called as platform as a service, meaning the middleware, for example, the databases that you need. So on top of the actual hardware, you can use these PaaS service, which are available from the cloud providers. So you do not need to install the databases. It will be available within few minutes as you select that PaaS service and create it and start using it without wasting the time to set up all that infrastructure along with the platform. Third type of the service that is available within the cloud is software as a service, SaaS products, for example. So this is everything will be managed by the cloud provider in the backend. You just need to use the ready to use software. You just need to configure the data and the users as per your requirement. For example, the Outlook, you can just have your users created and you can start using the web mails. Or for example, the Azure Active Directory within the Azure Cloud, which is the authentication model created within Azure. So similarly, like variety of types of services will be available under these various categories. Any question on this? Okay, I'll
No,
move. Yeah, I will move to the types of cloud. So mainly the public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. These are the types. So what does mean by the public cloud is it is shared across the multiple users, meaning the whatever the central locations of or central data centers are available from the cloud providers, those will be shared across the multiple users. Yeah, but the data will still be secure. The access will be still secured. It's just that everyone's data will be co-located on the same data center. So that's the public cloud. Coming to the private cloud, where the organization, they do not want their data to be sent to the outside world, and they still want to use the cloud services. They do not want to take the overhead of maintaining and managing the infrastructure as well as the platforms. They can use the private cloud, and the reason of using private cloud is again the management of the cloud will be hardware, software will be managed by the cloud provider here, and you can access the services through the internet. So the cloud providers will guide on the setup and everything. You just need to use your personal, means the organizational secure data within the private cloud. For example, the banking data, for example, the healthcare or research related data, which needs to be secured and which need not to be kept into the public cloud. In that case, private cloud will be used by the organizations. But the cost of using private cloud will always be high than the public cloud, but it will provide you the option of the data security. So based on the organization's requirement, the organizations will select the specific type of cloud. Third type is the hybrid cloud, where you can keep the organization can keep the important data within the private cloud, and they can use, let's say, the public data which is accessible to everyone. They can keep it within the public cloud where there is no much data security is taken into the consideration. So that's how these three different types of cloud are like given here in this table, the comparison. Coming to the cloud providers, mainly the dominant one is the Microsoft Azure as well as AWS is there, but and Google is also there. The thing is that Microsoft Azure is having the capability or scalability option more higher than the other services, other providers, and it also has the capability of like good integration between the multiple Azure services that it is providing, as well as the multiple analytical data storage and data processing services are available on the Microsoft Azure. So like various types of services are the same that we seen on the on-prem are available as part of cloud as well. For example, in terms of compute, the hardware that we need, the RAM for data processing. So these types of virtual machines are available within the cloud. You can spin up like Windows machine, Windows servers, Linux machine, Unix machine as per your requirement within like few clicks. Just select the required configuration. Your machine will be available. You can also change the configuration. You can downgrade or upgrade the configuration. You can increase or decrease the size of the disk or the processing capability, the number of vCores that you need. So that's what the capabilities or best feature it will provide. So whenever you need it, you increase it and decrease it based on your requirement. Coming to the storage, the data lake storage is there, then storage accounts are there, then various types of database options are available within the cloud. Coming to the web application, the specific servers will be available to deploy the web application in the cloud. You do not need to maintain or manage these servers on your own. Analytical services are the data processing ETL tools like ADF, the Databricks, and the Synapse Analytics. Then visualization tools also available within Synapse. Also, you can do the visualization. Within Databricks also, you can immediately do the visualization, or you can also use the Microsoft Power BI as a visualization tool. Coming to the governance and data security, you can use the Purview tool, which is a new tool from Microsoft, which will provide the capabilities of scanning the metadata of these various storages, on-prem as well as the cloud storages. So as we seen initially, yeah.
I'm confused about the private and the hybrid cloud. Can you explain that?
So a private cloud is basically the where you need to store the secret data, or which is the data where the organization, they do not want to keep it in public. So for example, Azure is having the data centers located in North Europe region, West Europe region. For example, I create a service, or similarly East US, West US, India, various these kind of locations or country wise, they have created the data centers. Data centers meaning the physical location where once you, let's say, I create a storage account and I upload a file to that storage account in North Europe region. So meaning that North Europe region data center will be the central one which Microsoft is using. So let's say other 10 users are creating the services in the same region. So within the data centers, there will be various racks. Racks meaning the actual physical servers will be stored. So your data or file will get uploaded to that location. What private cloud means is whatever the organization needs the setup for themselves, where they do not want to use the central, what we can say, the storage locations or the hardware where everyone's data is kept or co-located. In that case, for example, I have my employees' data, I have the salaries listed for those, and which is internal or private to the organization. I do not want to keep that data outside of the private cloud, meaning the outside of, I do not want to make it public. And private cloud is similar to what you do the infrastructure for your on-prem. It will be done by the cloud provider for you, and you will have the control ownership on the hardware as well as the data. If you see
some example of private clouds.
For example, the US government, they have the private ones. US military also, they are using the private cloud. So these are the examples like military you can consider, or the army forces, where that data is more secure, and the pharma, where there are researches going on, various medicine, the banking related data. So those will be managed by those organizations within the co-located data centers.
So meaning that the organization and the cloud provider had the deal, and the cloud provider
Correct.
will set up the data center for the organization separately.
Yes.
Okay.
So it is only used by that organization, not by multiple organizations.
So if the another organization wants the private cloud from the same cloud provider, they will set up the new data center.
Different setup for that organization.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, that's mainly used for the data security purpose.
Yeah, got it.
So coming to the various types of data, there are mainly three types of data. One is the structured data that usually we are processing or using for on-prem, is the tabular format or relational databases, which is called as the structural data in the context of these definitions. So which will have the tabular format, or even the Excel or CSVs, which has the column as and the row information. So this type of data is called as structured data. So within the cloud or in Azure, we have as an example of Azure SQL database. So the next is the unstructured data format. For example, the raw text files where, let's say, some important data is also available within the Word documents or the TXT files. And for example, on a website for Amazon, we have any reviews for the products. So that kind of data we can say is that's unstructured data. The comments posted on, let's say, on the blog post, these are kind of unstructured data. It has like a raw text or the normal English plain language were used by different users. But that data is also required for, let's say, some analysis by the organization. So then we need that data to be stored on specific location or the storage account. So another formats are images and videos, which we cannot put into the relational databases. So that was the challenge with respect to the on-prem and also the compute power required to process these kind of images or videos. That is not possible with on-prem compute and storage. So in Azure, we have the blob storage, which again have the types as hot and cold storage types. For example, you have a banking data, banking statements for users. So let's say for last 5 years or 10 years, which user is not frequently accessing, but as part of the process, it needs to be retained and maintained. And whenever the user requests that you need to provide that statement to the user, in that case, the cold storage will be used with the minimal cost. So these are the types of the unstructured data. Coming to the semi-structured data, we have the formats as JSON, which has the nested looping kind of structure where you define the tags and its properties and then the values of these properties within the JSON and the XML format. So we have example within the cloud where you can store similar kind of data in the Cosmos DB. So these are the variety of the types of data. So the reason the cloud and the big data technologies came into picture is the variety of data. So they call 3 V's: variety, velocity, and one more is there.
Volume.
Volume, yeah, correct. Yeah,
Volume.
the size of the data. So if you consider, like, if you have this unstructured data, also have one example of the IoT devices. So right now for any refrigerators or washing machines or even for cars, there are like, or trucks or buses, there are some devices set up on that specific equipments to capture the information associated with that specific devices, specific like appliances, and that data is sent to the cloud actually, which is again in the raw format. So based on that, the specific organization managing that manufacturing or that appliance or device, they are capturing that information and then processing that data, understanding when that device will fail. So when they get like multiple sources, like data processed or data ingested from these devices, and let's say at some point of time the actual appliance will fail, they will understand like the background. So they will analyze the previous data, why it failed, at which parameter it failed, why this parameter is not working properly at this specific, let's say, other configuration. So that's how they will tune it, or they will fix that kind of issues in the actual appliances. Or even they will just notify that this has failed. They will do the automatic email notification to the support or technical, the actual support team, so that they can again immediately create a case and go and fix that issue. So it can be a number of use cases where the end-to-end life cycle or the process within the cloud for data ingestion, processing, and reporting and taking the actual actions on that will be used. So as we see, as part of the data engineering, the important part is the having like huge amount of data on the on-prem with different types of data sources. For example, as I mentioned, the Oracle, even the file system, you can have the data in the Excel, CSV formats, raw format as well, the Oracle database, SQL database, the mainframe database. So it can be anything which is right now available as an on-prem. So that data needs to be ingested first into the cloud services. So here I'm just showing an example that if it's a relational, you can ingest into the Azure SQL database using the Azure Data Factory, which is ETL tool, and it has more than 100 plus connectors. Connectors meaning it can connect to multiple data sources. You just need to create a connection and like do the next activities of data processing or data ingestion or data movement using ADF. You put that into the SQL DB. Again, you use that data for reporting purpose on the Power BI, Tableau, or like wherever it is required on the downstream. Or you can also send the same data back, like after doing some analysis or processing, back to the on-prem systems as well. So that's the second level, the processing movement of data. Once it is coming to the cloud, you can internally move the data, do the reporting, or you can send it to the on-prem services. So that's like, again, visualization reporting part is the responsibility. Data security. So once the data is coming to the cloud, stored on the various storages, SQL DB or the storage accounts or the Synapse Analytics, who should access what type of data, how the data at rest encryption should be enabled, how the data in transit encryption should be enabled. So Microsoft is providing the TLS 1.2 capabilities for encrypting the data in transit. That is transport layer security 1.2 version, and they are, I think, coming 1.3 as well. So those kind of data security related options are also available during the data in transit. And for data at rest, you can use the Microsoft managed key for the encryption or the keys, customer managed keys. So we'll see those in detail while discussing the security related. Next part, or as part of the in data engineering role, you need to monitor this end-to-end life cycle of the data, starting from the data ingestion, processing on the reporting side. Sometimes these end-to-end pipelines will fail. So you need to orchestrate this cycle, the data cycle, starting from the data ingestion till its last use. It could be reporting, it could be just copying from on-prem to storing it somewhere in the SQL DB or storage account or Cosmos DB. Sometimes the pipelines may fail because of the differences within the source data types, or the file is not coming properly at the required time when you schedule that pipeline for data movement from on-prem to cloud. So you need to handle those kind of different challenges as part. So monitor these, create alerts, and fix those issues which are runtime issues in production. Coming to the Databricks and the Synapse Analytics, you have the capabilities of running the Python code, PySpark code, Spark SQL code, Scala code. So these are like Spark functionalities or programming languages to process the huge amount of data within the cloud. So once you have the data, you can play around it as per the business requirement, create the required output of that data. Let's say you need to join multiple file, join that, again, filter it, sort it, whatever are the business requirements. Out of it, create the output data and then send it to the next level. So that's how your end-to-end data lifecycle will come into picture. You need to maintain that data at each level and monitor it, secure the data, visualize it as per the requirement. It could be using the programming languages, it could be the visualization tools, and then the data movement, basically ADF. And within the Synapse also, you have the capability of the ADF pipelines. Data processing you can do within the Databricks, or within the ADF also you have the UI just to drag and drop and just create the joins, filter, sort, or write a condition that I need this data based on this condition. So those types of data processing options you have within the cloud. So as part of the this data engineering
mean by that?
yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes. Hello.
I mean, what it
Predmant, your voice is breaking.
what is that data ingestion? Data movement, I understand. What is data ingestion? What do you mean by that?
So you can have the data ingestion, meaning is ingesting data from multiple sources to same location. Let's say for within the storage account, you are having the Excel files, CSV files, the TXT files that you want to move from or ingest from on-prem to the cloud.
That is data movement, right? That is what data movement, correct?
Data movement
So what is
can
difference
also,
between data ingestion and
yeah,
data movement?
ingestion is getting the data within the cloud. For example, all the data types as per your project requirement, let's say. Once you have that data within the cloud, you again need to move that data from within the cloud itself or outside of the cloud, again back to the on-prem. So ingestion term is basically considered for ingesting data within the cloud. And movement, it can be from cloud to cloud or cloud to on-prem. First, to get the data into the cloud, you need to do the data ingestion inside the cloud for processing, reporting, what type of any kind of operation that you want to do. So for example, I did data ingestion from on-prem to the cloud. I did process that data. After doing the processing, that's the reason this step is coming after processing, if you see here. So after you do the processing on the data, you, let's say, move the within the, there are for example in data lake storage or storage account, you will have multiple tiers. They call it as silver layer, gold layer, or premier layer. So where initially just you are ingesting the data in the bronze layer, then moving, just doing some curation on top of that, moving that data to the silver layer. From the silver layer, you are doing the refinement of the final data and moving it to the gold layer. So layer means it is again a directory structure or different structure within the data lake, or that you, so internally once the data is ingested, you did some processing from one layer to another layer, you are doing the data movement. Is it clear?
Okay.
So as part of the data engineering certificate, the important parts that are like examined are like the data storage services within the Azure cloud, then the data processing part, the security, the monitoring or alerting part, and the optimizations of the data storage. How can you save the cost and use the best performance of it, of the various storage that are available? And yeah, the data processing part again, how you will process, which processing service you need to use. So those are the things that you need to be learned as part of this course and will be examined in this certification.
Sir, I have a query related to prerequisites. Basically, if we are looking to this as a data engineering role, so is it that we need to know some big data technologies like Hive or Hadoop, or in that way, we should be aware of networking and data pipeline related programming. Either it can be into Java or Python. So is it necessary to have all this before going this to or before going on getting the certification readiness for us?
Certifications mainly will evaluate you against the Azure cloud services, and knowledge on or the experience, hands-on experience on to the Python, PySpark, or Scalar language will be for you to the actual project implementation.
Right, but before going or if anyone is planning, for that matter, if I'm
If you
planning
are,
for a transition in a role in this
yeah,
role,
yeah.
so is it
So
necessary for me to know Scala, to know Hadoop, to know big data technologies before even working or trying to learn this? Is it necessary?
yeah, so big data technologies, you just need to understand the basics of it, like how the Hadoop system works or the Spark system works. So basically, the Hadoop or Spark are like the distributed file systems or the processing capabilities. So along with the storage, it has the processing capabilities as well. So if you look at the existing machines, for example, where you are doing the data processing, you will have the data stored on the hard disk of your machine, and the data will be processed within the RAM of that machine. So it will have the multiple reads and writes with the data stored in the hard disk. So that's where it was failing. Also, the compute or the RAM size was very small, let's say 816 GBs. So now we have 256 GB capability, and you can have these kind of 10 servers immediately created with the high compute powers. So for example, I have to calculate the sum between 1 to 100. If I have to do that in this one machine, it will take some time. But if I distribute the calculation from 1 to 10, 11 to 20, and likewise till 100 to 10 different machines, they will immediately process that data, will do the aggregation of that, and will get the final summation as a result of that within very fractions of seconds. So just as an example, I'm giving that. So that's what these systems will come into picture, why the importance of these kind of services are useful in the processing huge amount of data. So that basic knowledge is fine. You just need to focus more on the Azure cloud platform itself, how the cloud platform works, the types of data that I mentioned, the volume of the data, the storage capabilities within the Azure, and the processing capabilities. So during the processing, you have the option to just use the UI, drag and drop options within the data factory or the Synapse. Again, the same thing. You do not need to code anything. You can just use the UI tool, and it will create the code in the backend automatically. But if you want to create a customization and processing the data as per your requirement, you need to know these languages, mainly the Python, Scala, and the Spark SQL. So for whole transition, the basic knowledge is required, as well as understanding the volume of data, types of data, what are the services available within the cloud, how you will ingest data, do the processing, how you will do the data movement or the orchestration. All these things are required in processing part through the scripting or through the UI, as I mentioned, and then reporting.
So will this program help us in job readiness, or will I have to do some other course as well for just to work in the industry?
No, I think this should be fine. But if you want to explore the other things also, you can do. But I don't think that you will need others like courses to be taken. There are, like, for example, Azure Administration is there. So which mainly takes care of how to set up the Azure subscriptions, the access control within the Azure portal for different subunits or units within the organization for different users, the Active Directory, how to consider the networking configurations. So for that, you can go to the administration certifications. For specific to focus or work on the data science or AI/ML related, you can take the AI and data related certifications are there. Those are different, like ML Studio is there, cognitive services are available. So depending on the work area or the interest, you can take those specific services. But at the
So,
end, yeah.
so post completing this course, what job market or what role we can focus on or we can be eligible for?
So mainly you can focus on the data engineering or ETL role.
ETL role. Okay.
Yeah, using ADF and using Databricks or Synapse
Okay.
Analytics. Yeah.
Okay. And for that ETL role as well, do we require to have MSBI in our earlier working uh, experiences, or it is not that required? It's not that required.
It's not that requirement. Again, it depends on the organization. For example, you will have in some organizations, they will just keep group of people. Let's say there is huge amount of data. So they will just ask that set of people to get this data from the multiple sources into the cloud. That's it. Their role will be limited to ingesting on-prem data to the cloud. Second level of team will be looking at processing that data as per the requirement, let's say for a data science or AI/ML project. They will be doing that processing. And then third level, which will be the ML engineer or AI engineer who will be using that curated data to create the final use case. Or it can be also the reporting. Then there will be also one more role related to the reporting, exactly the Power BI role. So it is just good to have knowledge of the end-to-end life cycle. You may work throughout the whole process, or you will be just part of the specific role within your project. You will be just creating, for example, just ADF pipeline to copy data from on-prem SQL Server to Azure SQL database. Whenever it fails, you just need to monitor and fix it. That's it. That could be also your role.
Okay, so it's a kind of getting on-prem data into Azure. So for that, this role is more relevant. This course is more relevant. But once the data is already on the cloud, so what kind of role this particular person helps in?
Yeah, so once the data is available, then the data processing part will be there. So either using the Databricks, so you need to write the notebooks using the PySpark or Scala.
Okay,
Again,
now
doing the
then big data technology comes into picture. So
yes,
we need to know the Scala, then we need to know some
yeah.
means
So
Python
depending
helps.
on the role you will move into the project, you will use the services. It is not the case that all the services you will use all the time.
Okay.
It could be piece of these services, whatever we listed. It could be all the services you will touch base with.
Okay. And one more thing which I have a question on is the Scala and PyCharm or PySpark uh, content in this course? Would there be a touch point on that?
Yeah, we'll have touch point on that. We'll see how we can run these language codes in the Databricks notebooks.
Okay. 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 ठीक है,
So
got it.
yeah, so mainly that course will also emphasize on how to configure the services within the Azure cloud. For example, how you need to set up the storage account. how you need to set up the SQL database, how you need to set up the Databricks service, how to use these clusters, how to save the cost while using these services. And then also the data ingestion part, the processing part. If sometimes if anything is failing, how you will alert it to the users, like through email, that this pipeline failed. And then you need to look at it manually, fix it, and then re-execute it. Then the security aspects, the optimization, the cost optimization, the performance optimization. So sometimes it could be the case you just need to copy the on-prem CSV files to the storage account. That could be also your role. But you for that you just need to understand the use of ADF, how you can connect ADF to the storage account and on-prem file system, just copy the file, how to configure ADF for that, how to configure the storage accounts. So that there you will touch base with those services for even doing that small kind of work. So that's the reason the understanding the cloud services, concepts of cloud, configurations of these services is important.
Okay, sir. Got it. Got it. So initially there would be the introduction to Azure services that we have, and then there would be some touch points to
Each
data
service.
movement, like ingestion pipeline.
Yeah, each
Data
service will,
pipeline.
yeah, we'll look at each service, for example, how to set up the blob storage account, or
Right.
Azure Data Lakes Gen 2 account.
Okay.
Then there again,
Okay.
the cloud concepts, configuration concepts will come into picture for that specific service that you need to understand. The second level will be the integration with the other services
Okay.
within the cloud itself. Yeah, and then the data copy or data movement or ingestion activities will also come into picture. Then which service need to be used, how to use it, those things will be part of the course.
And so for this, do we also need some understanding on networking, like VMs or creating VMs or basically setting up the hardware? So do we also need to have some information on that, or that
Ha-
would be a part of course?
Part of the specific services, again, for example, Databricks uses its own clusters. So what type of clusters? Again, those are Spark clusters for the data processing. Within the Synapse, again, how you will select. Within the data factory, you will have three types of computes. How you will use those computes, how you need to configure those. So those are the important points as a data engineer. If you know that, if you just play around these services, try different things, ingesting, processing, that's what will be the actual role of the data engineer in day-to-day life.
So actually, there is a role of optimization that we have to achieve in case of cost as well as in case of usage, and then creating and just optimum data space so that organization can be at a minimum point of cost, right? Is what the role can be.
Yeah, that could be also one of the option at the end. Yeah, but yeah, as a data engineer, we need to look at all these things. But at within the project, your role could be small, your role could be big, depending on the organization and the project.
Okay, sir, got it. Got it.
Any other questions?
Yogesh, Arun this side.
Yeah.
So basically, I saw a lot of time in my project in a real time. The Azure data engineering side, they are scaling down or scaling up the resources as per the requirement. So maybe they are facing kind of different challenges. So in our training, are you providing any end-to-end project which can cover the real-time scenario, what we can face in the project? So maybe if you are preparing for an interview, so basically that question get asked if I am showing the some experience on a data engineering. Uh, in that point of view,
So what I will show is, let's say, specific to that service, how you will use the data, how you will store, what kind of formats can be stored. That information, like each service level, I will provide. So you can create like end-to-end project based on your requirement. Or once we copy the on-prem data to the cloud, that data will be, let's say, for example, used for doing some processing transformations on it. Let's say I copied two CSV files from on-prem to the cloud. I will do the join, let's say, and I will show the reporting of it. So uh, it will be not exactly the actual project, but kind of at each service level you
because
will have.
if someone is preparing for the interview on the data engineering side, so definitely the interviewer asks on a specific topic what challenges you face there, because if you are working on something,
Yeah,
definitely there
that
are a
we
lot of
will. Yeah, that we will
yes,
check during the
means
service level. Hmm.
as per your experience, in your you have a lot of experience on this. You have faced a lot of challenges maybe. So if you will share
Yeah, that we will
with
discuss during the
yeah,
actual practical implementations, as well as learning the service configurations. So there will be two parts actually when we go through this course. First is understanding that service itself, configurations, and then the practical implementation. So a theoretical part for understanding the concepts, and second level will be the practical implementation that I will show. You can then do practice on that, and you can come up with questions if you have. Similarly, we'll keep moving ahead with the conceptual part, and then the actual practical part on the portal.
oh, okay,
So the theoretical part is also important to for interview as well as the certification. And also, it's always good to have the configuration understanding of that service, what that service is doing, what is the purpose of that service to use within the project. So as we progress, you will get to know the idea and you will be able to answer those questions. I'll be able to share the other questions as well. I can share the raw data from multiple. We will have the online data available, free data to download from COVID-19 data is there, different types of data. Even on Microsoft websites, they are providing some data for learning purpose as a sample data. So that data also you can process. And let's say you are working already in the organization, you know some parts of the data or
yes,
the on-prem systems, you can club those to create your project summary and club these services and mention that end-to-end project there.
correct. So basically, I work on myself fetching data from the different sources like the SAP and ingesting the data into the Synops analysis and all this in the Power BI also. But if you say still I don't have I have experience on the data transformation in Azure Data Lake. That
That
also I
we
did,
will,
but
yeah, that
yeah.
we will check even in the
Yes.
Synapse Analytics. Hmm.
I have worked on three projects in a data engineering side also, but still I'm not a primary resource for that, so that I don't have good
You will
confidence on
get
that.
that confidence after
Yes.
this course. So and that I will say for sure.
Yes.
So
So
it
maybe
will.
so if anyone working on a specific technology and he has a very good hands-on, that time he knows what are the questions get asked by interviewer, what are the things they are interview will focus on the what are the topics they are going to focus. So that kind of help we definitely want from you.
Sure, yeah, I will provide that help. But in any project, any interview, what mainly you will have the technology part or the service specific questions will be there. But
Yes.
if you explain the process, what I mentioned from the
Yeah.
starting from the data ingestion, the reporting till reporting, data transformation, the reporting part, the data security, governance part. So if you just touch base with those things also, what happens most of the time, people for example, like as you mentioned, working on moving the data, but you do not know what kind of data you are processing, what is the size of the data. You are not able to answer, means as an example, I'm saying, let's say you are not able to answer those questions, or as part of your job role, you are not looking at these aspects or the important points which are part of the interview. So if you
Right.
clearly say, for example, I have processed like 50 GB of data, I moved from on-prem systems, SAP to the Azure Synapse Analytics. After ingesting that data, we use these types of queries to process that data. That data is used by the, let's say, the another team for some other reason. So you need
Yeah.
to justify the or create a business case out of it for the end-to-end life cycle. Majority of the people working in the data engineering, they are limited to their scope. I am doing the data movement, that's it. I don't know what is happening previous
Correct.
to the data and happening after to the data.
Correct. Right. So it's based on if I have experience on the healthcare or insurance, so whatever the projects I'm working, that the same business logic and I can use for the interview,
Yes, yes, you
basically.
can put that same because you have
Yes.
the idea of your domain or the
Correct.
project, that organization. You just need to
Correct.
integrate what you learn from this course.
Correct.
And you will be able to explain like where you used what service and how you used that you can
So
mention in the
we are covering the PowerShell little bit also.
PowerShell. Yeah, I can show that also, like during, for example, while creating the services also, we can use the Azure PowerShell, the ARM templates also.
Maybe maybe I think the infra people only are using a PowerShell right now.
Correct, correct.
Previously,
Yeah.
yeah, Data Factory and Databricks people also were using, but now they are not using. Only
No,
infra people are using it.
infra are using for the deployment of these services.
Correct.
So what happens,
Right, right.
I think one of us, we are also having the infra person. So
Right.
their scope is again limited to just creating these services. They do
Yeah.
not know ins and outs of those services. What is the reason that service is used? How it should be configured? So it will help to the infra people, like when they are creating, they will be able to communicate very well to the person they are interacting with from the data side.
Right. What about the course duration approximately?
It will be around 40 hours.
Okay.
So mainly in the market or in the industry, the services that are used is the ADLS Gen 2, the storage accounts. ADF is used on like huge scale. Then the Databricks, Synapse
Right.
Analytics. So Synapse Analytics, we can say clubbing of ADF, Databricks, and the storage account. Then they also included the ADX service within the Synapse Analytics and the Azure SQL DB, because most of the organizations, they are having the relational data and they have the
Right. Correct.
requirement to move that data into the cloud, do the processing, and then the further analytics depending on the business needs. One more service is right now in private preview. It is only for the organizations, not even for the like any public members available. That is Fabric, where they have consolidated all these services in single as a SaaS service,
Okay.
software as a service. So we just need to get that service, create anything, data will be at the same location, everything will be at the same location. You do not need to purchase or create these different services. Everything they consolidated in single service, that is Microsoft Fabric service.
Oh,
Even the data
so
security. Hmm.
okay, for the data moment, if you are fetching data from the on-premises SQL or any different source, so or doing some data transformation using Azure Data Lake or Blob Storage. So there are some scenario we have very complex data transformation. So it's if you have some that kind of a script, that also you can maybe you can explain or you can provide.
Yeah, so actual business logic will be dependent on your use case, but yeah, we'll see
Correct.
like what basic operations or functions are available within the tool and also within the language, programming language.
And it's on a daily basis we are or weekend batches.
Yeah,
Question.
Monday to Friday. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
It will be live or recorded, Yogesh?
It will be live only, not recorded.
Okay. We may get the recordings
Yeah.
if we miss the class.
Yes, you'll be getting.
Okay.
And Jayant, Mohan, Pratham, Yashwant, do you have any questions? Ankit?
Yes, Yogesh, I had one question. Like in this course, we are mainly using Azure tools. Suppose if a business or an project requires AWS or GCP, so at the time, what we need to do? Like we can easily adapt to those technologies, or what we need to do for that?
Yeah, and that needs to be separately learned, but the overall concept within those cloud providers will be also same. What, let's say the data lake Gen2 here, it will be there will be different name. Uh, I think buckets is there in the, that's the name in the AWS.
AWS
So,
S3, yeah.
yeah, S3 storage. So that's naming convention will be different, but primary use will be the similar one. And
Okay.
similarly, the ETL tools or the relational database, the different names will be there actually. But the cloud concepts will remain same. The configurations will change. The basic concepts will remain same.
Okay. Okay, Yogesh, thank you.
And one more thing, within the Azure Data Factory, you can connect to AWS as well as Google Cloud as well and copy the data. So they have provided those capabilities as well.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
Can you share the PPT?
Yeah, at the end of the course, I will share it.
No, this means overall PPT of you presented now.
You need it right now, or like I'll be sharing the like all the sessions at the end of the completion of the course. Like I will.
I want to go through what you have means told today, so I can decide further.
Okay, sure. Okay, I'll share that part of the course
Thank
summary
you.
and
Thank you.
today's slides. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
So anything, Mohan?
No from me.
Okay. So if everyone is fine, then if you don't have any questions, then we can wind up for the day. And let me share you this regarding also. I'll call you tomorrow and I will discuss about the class timings and other things. I'll talk to you individually one by one tomorrow.
Yeah, sure, Ganesh.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Ganesh. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Yogesh.
Thank you. Yeah.